Uh, Thank you very much for attending this this presentation. First of all, I have to say that it's the 17th of May, so it's Norwegian National Day. So everyone is outside with flag and eating a lot of hot dogs and ice cream. But I give priority to this. Yes, I will have a short introduction to the GrowingCircle project. Where I'll see maybe the most important is to take you into the mindset and also some of our activities. So I take it rather short because there is also time for other presentations and discussions. First of all, I'm starting with, my name is Eilif Hjelseth. I'm from NTNU. That's a short name for Norwegian University of Science and Technology. So I'm partner and project member here. And there is also for two other presentation, data templates awareness by Pedro Meda, and also data templates in practice by Fredrik Grand. And then there is time for questions and answers with Diego Calvetti as moderator. So I do think you should prepare for the discussion during this thing. First of all, we see that we started in September 2002, and I'm not going through all those activities, but you see there is a lot of activities in this project, and there are also two interesting activities left in September and in October. And that is the ECPPM, European Conference for Product and Process Modeling, International Scientific Conference in Trondheim, Norway, where we have a presentation. And there are also the Concreta 2022, the international exhibition in Matosinhos in Portugal. So you also meet us there. You see that we started, as I said, in 2020, and we are now finalizing after those conferences in November 2022. So it's a rather short and limited project. And we also have a website where you also can get some more information. First of all, when we are working or focusing on the circular economy in construction powered by information circularity, we see that this is a large topic, and to make it more practical, I do think that to have some data templates in mind makes it being more practical. However, what is data template and how it can be used in the right way is not that easy to be aligned about. So we started to have a focus on the regulatory framework, and also internationalization and also skills, because you need to have some competency both related to circularity, to product documentation, to product information, and also to digitalization. And then we also looked at there is a lot of things that we can use as the foundation, as you see in the figure left there. And also the international perspective is seen very clearly due to our connection to what's going on in Europe. However, we also have to see on the more applied side as about resource efficiency and also innovation to make this work, because there is also some cost benefit in short and long term. And also looking at the scale, we are thinking, is it only the building or the district, or the urban environment? And there also you see that they come elements like product information to digital logbooks, smart buildings, smart cities, and also from BIM to digital twins. So you see that we can reuse a lot of the competency and solutions from other initiative and projects. However, what we had focus on is actually to integrate those two elements. And there you see that the data template is the key element. So data template with relevant and trustworthy information. Two words, relevant and trustworthy, that make some challenges, but also when you have those in place, you enable a solution like digital building logbook, material passport, product documentation, or digital twin. And also that we see that this is all connected. Also those solutions that I mentioned now is a part of the data template perspective. That means that we see that the first thing we have to be aware of is the awareness of the knowledge, and also foresee get evidence by research to do it. So this is foresee not something to be nice and we want to be environmental friendly and reuse some product, and foresee circularity is the nice term to use. We have to foresee see that this is building on knowledge and research, and also foresee to build up this knowledge, we focus on courses development there. So that we think is foresee a very, very good way to foresee continue this type of project, and also foresee that we also need more research and to enable digital solution and templates and this combination. And there is also foresee interesting development within standardization. However, we have to make sure that this is applicable by case studies, as we have seen, going into real cases, both for buildings and infrastructure, because we see that the world is more than the buildings, and also foresee that there is large investment in infrastructure in rails and roads. That also means that foresee when we have foresee now, because I had a very easy introduction about foresee data template, but this is foresee based on a lot of elements that we have to integrate. So maybe also foresee integration, and a part with integration is of course reuse of information as the key element. So I'm not going into all those hashtags and explaining all of those, except as saying that is this integration perspective that is a key element in the Growing Circle project. We also foresee that an element of that is also foresee to look at the digital twin, also from the more applied side, where we also see having a focus on the incremental digital twin. So if there is something you should remember from thinking about digital twin, is that if you're thinking about in very, very practical way, most of you have implemented some type of digital twin when you come to control of heating, cooling, and shading, access to buildings, and so on. So it's more to integrate it and to get this synergy that is the key element. So please remember that digital twin is something that you can do when you are thinking it in an incremental way. And that is what we also did when we wrote a paper in the scientific journal Buildings, Incremental Digital Twin Conceptualization Targeting Data-Driven Circular Construction by Pedro Meda, Diego Calvetti, me, and Hippolyte Sousa. And this is also was the most read article in Buildings there. So we have some attention for it, but I know also that from Pedro, but one of my success criteria by this introduction is that I can keep it a bit short. So I'm now going into foresee maybe the last slide that I foresee developed to show and illustrate maybe some of the paradox in this Growing Circle. It's a small project, you see from the number of partners and the time frame, but we try to foresee combine practice and principles, also reuse and so on, short term and long term, and looking at integration. And to foresee having a foresee fun factor and animal, I do think the weasel. Also, it's fascinating because it's in one way very little. It can come through small holes, and in the other way, it's a very large animal that can take really hard thing. And also, it's a smart animal that knows how to travel. So that was my last slide before I thank you for your attention, and also we'll see give the digital floor to Pedro. So we take the questions and answers at the end. I do think that's better, so we keep the same schedule. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ali, for your insightful introduction and light on this topic. Thank you very much. I will now share my screen to start the presentation on the awareness part. And this awareness will be focused most on will be focused more on the theoretical part. And then we will leave the floor to Frederick that will show how this will be materialized from a technological point of view. Are you seeing my screen? Okay, thank you very much. So without further ado, welcome to this first part of the introductory concepts on data templates. This part is endorsed to all agents in the construction industry who need, at some point in the productive chain, information related to construction products, systems, or components that hereafter will be assumed as construction objects. This part, the learning outcomes are the following. So awareness on data templates, it's one of the, I would say, main outcomes that we would like you to have, to be aware of the relevance and role of data templates and their positioning, and gain competency to identify the role that data template play on the integration of data, as Eilif was saying, and mainly in terms of efficient and sustainable construction. So the objectives target data templates characteristics and functions, comprehension that data templates are data-driven elements and that range the building's life cycle, and identify outcomes from data templates deployment for a more efficient and circular construction. Having said that, let's start with a situation that is not from the construction industry, but might be more close to all of you on a daily basis. The process of acquiring or selling a car, or at least part of this process, is nowadays carried out using the internet and searches that quickly return a list of available platforms dedicated to this business. These images represent two examples of platforms where some decision support filters are identified. These filters might have different complexity and may or may not be filled. However, they have common aspects. This is data fields that are relevant for the subject that we are dealing with, that is automobile industry. Make, body, and price are three common data fields that we identified in both platforms. However, these are differently understood in terms of importance by overall entities involved, such as the buyer, the seller, or the car manufacturer. In addition, it is also essential to understand that these data fields are only a small part of the properties that constitute the necessary data envelope to carry out the business of buying and selling cars. Yet, these are at the forefront for the buyers when are doing their decision process. This is a relatively simple and immediate example that aims to provide common understanding on the environment and on the purpose of the topic that we have here today in hands. It is also relevant to highlight that even this simple example that is spread worldwide and is working has a significant complexity in terms of the data that is behind those platforms. This is, I would say, properties or the data that we need to bear in mind, that it is the wide range of data that we need to understand that is relevant for the business. Depending on the different approaches, on the different roles, it might be necessary to systematize other data fields or prioritize one related to the other. Aside from the approaches, it is clear nowadays that these platforms aim to bring efficiency to the car purchase or sale process as well as enhance the decision support based on a consistent information environment. Complementary, many of the previous mentioned characteristics will be part of the vehicle registration certificate that most of you might have. So what this has to do with construction, how it is similar, how it is different. In the construction industry, there are initiatives to collect data from construction products and to create digital passports for these same products. The undergoing process for reviewing the construction product regulation is key for what is defined as the Smart CE mark, but it is mainly focused, as it is nowadays, on performance properties. There is also environmental product declarations that focus on environmental and LCA data, and there are several concepts that are coming related to circularity, such as digital product passports, circular material passports, product circularity datasheets, among others. All these concepts aim to aggregate digital data from construction products to support the collection, the management, and specific uses of that data in a process for a specific group of stakeholder, for a specific stakeholder, or to a defined outcome or deliverable somewhere across the stages of the construction process. So why it is important in the construction industry to think really on this? As we've seen, the car platforms contribute to a streamlined access to different types of data, enhancing commercial exchanges. In the construction industry, the challenges might be wider, specifically if we want to make a link to outcomes as those previously referred, or others that will integrate part of the data that exists in construction products. To structure the construction objects related data in a standardized way, it is key as a contribution to mitigate common problems, namely the loss of information exchange or duplication of unproductivity work, either by introduction by hand of data sets about objects in models or tools to perform analysis. So this is a specific product, a sandwich panel, that will help us as a practical example through this presentation. Within the context of a construction process, different stakeholders will have different knowledge and different requirements about the very same product. The designer might ask for performance properties. The person that is responsible for waste plans will be asking for European waste codes. The one for the maintenance plan wants the dimensions and warranties. The construction company wants to know things about the cost, warranty periods, alternative solutions, among others. So this is the environment that we have on construction today. They need this information to produce specific outcomes during the construction process value chain, from the design to the end of construction. The manufacturer provides this information in very different ways. This actually represents a real example that happened when asking for product data for a specific project. Some of the elements were provided in PDF documents, others were provided only by phone, and others were asked, and the manufacturer did not know what we were talking about. So this is what happens today, and what we know is that this situation, due to the digitalization and due to the integration needs, must change. Many of the reasons why this issue is important have been studied and systematized. I bring here some of the findings that were structured by Paul Sorin to highlight some of the ones that we feel that are at the forefront when dealing with an action such as the one that we had today that is awareness action, and the low data quality and lack of data governance, that is the previous slide, I would set it at the forefront. Then there are fragmented vendor landscapes. There are several platforms that are offering services that tend to be digital. But what happens, and that is the worst part, is that we can have a fragmented vendor landscape if the interoperability is not limited. But what we are getting nowadays is that this interoperability is non-existent or very limited. As well, and this is the purpose that we have in hands, insufficiently skilled labor to implement this is still an issue that we have in hands. Thus, considering the example of the sandwich panel manufacturer, in addition to structuring the technical information regarding its products, other requirements might need to be answered properly. The production of documents in PDF is a digital solution, but a close one, and therefore, to ensure an efficient use and safe use of the construction properties, we need to do more. The international community has developed a philosophy for a data framework that aims to be capable of meeting all the demands, and that must be set as a background to all definitions and concepts that we previously mentioned. And these structures are the data templates in accordance with ISO standard 23387. This standard defines the concepts and principles related to data templates. As we can see, data templates are standardized, interoperable metadata structures used to describe the characteristics of construction objects. There are common assumptions for other narrower concepts. The standard defines two fundamental aspects of data templates: the framework, as we'll see in detail, and the machine readability. The ISO standard defines the structure of data templates as we present here, where the properties and the systematic indexing to reference documents are key elements, namely to ensure consistency of terminology and reliability of requested data. Data templates apply to a construction object in abstract, that is, the data template identifies the requirements defined as properties that make sense or that are applicable to a certain type of product. These specific products result from filling in values to this skeleton of properties, as we will see. Properties can exist in groups of properties, and each property has a quantifier or measurement convention with its units. For the case of a specific product, values are addressed to the properties, and the set of values filled in for the different properties generates a datasheet in accordance with the ISO standard. Again, affiliated concepts such as material passports, in order to provide an effective response to the sector, must be understood as a set of data structured in accordance with this ISO standard. This means that datasheet derived from a data template is and will support most of the necessary data for a material passport. How does this framework work in practice? So let's go back to our sandwich panel example. A sandwich panel fits into roofing materials according to two classification references, one European, that is the common procurement vocabulary, and the other that is a worldwide classification system, that is the United Nations Services and Products Classification System. Others can be used. This product type in particular is framed by the harmonized product standards AN 14509, defining the scope of the data template. One example of properties that can be part of data templates is the waste codes. These fit in a group that can be called CDW, and the reference document is the new EU directive. Thermal conductivity is also a property that must be declared within the product's CE mark, so it may belong to that group of properties. In this case, the property is referenced to the harmonized standard, and the group of properties is framed by the construction products regulation. As example, last example, is the one related to environmental product declarations. EPD's developments are framed by ISO 4025, and the global warming potential is part of this. There is already an ISO standard, and more are to come in other topics that frame the group of properties as part of data templates. And in this situation for EPD is the ISO standard 22057. Back to thermal conductivity, this property has defined units, and the applicable value results from specific products, giving rise to the datasheet in accordance with the ISO standard. As mentioned, there are two key elements in data templates. These are the skeleton with the relationships and the machine readable ability. For this second part, ISO 23386 is the standard to ensure it, and the next presentation will explain how. One question may be then asked: does a construction product manufacturer has to structure all this information? The answer is no. Construction product manufacturer or trader should concentrate on the values related to the properties of their products so that they can be contextualized with the data template of that type of product, thus producing a metadata structure according to the standard, which will be available in a product catalog and which will be able to link this data to other systems, for example, 3D modeling systems. So what are the added value of the data templates for the industry? And these are some of them. So we can see that the information related to the construction objects will be digital and it will be traceable. There are no spreadsheets or other files to translate information from one tool to the other. It also supports FM or digital twins. As the ILIF presented, it is a scientific work that we developed as we position data templates as key enablers for digital twins. Also, we put data into the contexts. And if we are thinking in one outcome, the data is there. If we are thinking in other, the data remains there. The data template environment as presented here is relevant for the purpose of awareness and also to frame other concepts surrounding digital, interoperable, machine readable, and traceable data related to construction products. As presented, this is part of a wide and structured effort. It is an ongoing one, and we must say, and many other elements or pieces of the puzzle are to come in the next years. In brief, the construction object property systematization according to the data template framework allows the effective digitalization and consistency of the information throughout the construction processes. A given property can then be used throughout the construction process for various analyses, deliveries, or verifications, as we can see here with the example of the thermal conductivity. If we go back and we look to the circularity or to the waste property that we identified, we can also add material passports and waste audits. So, essential aspects to retain: the definition of the data templates, some of the keywords that are part and are the main assumptions for it. What is the information that can be consolidated in the data templates? And then, what are the main roles and actions for these data templates? To conclude, I will just would like to highlight that the GrowingCircle project is funded by the EA Grants Program, Environment, Climate Change and Low Carbon Economy Program, and it is promoted by Instituto da Construção in partnership with Trondheim University. And Co-Builder AS is a collaborator in this project with the development and improvement and support of systems to materialize data templates in Portuguese language. And now I would hand over the floor to a colleague, architect Frederic Grant, that is CEO of Co-Builder France and French expert in the aspects of interoperability, building smarter data dictionary, to lead us with the practicality of data templates. Frederic, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly, and we see your PowerPoint.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, my point here is to go more in depth into practice and what we can do with those nice things we've been talking about since 35 minutes, which are data templates. And well, I will try to talk about a roof system as a data template. And as Pedro said, a data template is connected to something called a construction object, describing what is exactly a roof system. And this can be described in an ISO document, for example. And attached to this template, I will have a list or a list of groups of properties, each of groups of properties which will in this case represent a specific purpose of or use of those properties. So in this example, I'm talking about EPDs. And in this group of properties, I will find a list of properties. So for example, global warming potential. So quite a similar picture as the one you've already saw in the previous presentation. But right now, we will try to manage to do something with description of the data template of a roof system. And so I will switch to a tool which is called Co-Builder Define, and which aim is to be able to manage this content, to be able to manage dictionaries, meaning I will describe the template, the properties, the unit, and so on. So right now, this is just because I'm French, so the interface is free in French, but I will switch to English for you to better understand, and quite soon this will be available in Portuguese. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you will see everything you can manage in Define. That's not the purpose of today, so we will skip to this. So what I've done is I have searched for roof systems in the tool, and luckily I have found one, which is pretty cool for my demo. So you will see exactly what is asked for the standards Pedro has talked about, ISO 23386 for the metadata to describe things, and ISO 23387 for the structure of a data template, let's say. So you will see that the data template has a name, which is pretty cool. So in English, and in this case in Norwegian, and I will find the technical definition of it, which is system of covering and sealing components, including blah, 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 blah. And again, you will be able to find all the technical definitions in any language you need. That's requested by the standard, by the way. Then you will have more information about it. The famous construction object Pedro talked about earlier, here it is. The data template is connected to an object called roof system. If I'm a manufacturer, for example, I will discover that this data template can be used in France, in Germany, Italy, etc. I will know about his history, so I will trust what I'm using. That's really important, is to be able to have confidence in the data templates we are using. And again, this is coming from the standards, so I will know exactly who has created this, when it has been done, etc., etc., and I will be able to track what has happened to it with, well, for example, a minor version, maybe a typo change, etc. So I have a data template, and as Pedro said, and as we have seen in my previous slide, this template has a lot of groups of properties attached to it. So for example, we will have, for the purpose of acoustic analysis, a set of properties corresponding to it. Here they are: gross area is external, length, and so on. You will have EPD properties, you will have a life cycle assessment, and that's the one I want to open there because we will find them back in the near future, let's say. And that's where you will have eutrophication, global warming potential. Here they are, global warming according to, and again, that's according to standards. Really important. We do not reinvent the wheel when we create a template. Here we are checking that this has been done correctly. I know who did it, and I know which reference document, which standards has been used to create this template, and that I can trust. I need those properties. This is required by a specific standard to do life cycle assessment, for example. So same with the list of properties, so flat list of all the properties used by the template. And something which is really also important is when I'm clicking here, I will know that a roof system, as described in my dictionary, can be mapped to some IFC entities. So if I receive, and that's what we will do later on, if I want to work on an IFC4 BIM model, I will be able to know that an IFC roof can be connected to a roof system, to a data template roof system, as described in this tool. Just a quick example with one property I've selected, which is hazardous waste disposed. So when I am back to a property, I will know more than the name and the technical definition. I will have some attributes saying that this property has a physical quantity, which is a mass. Sorry, this one is still in French. A unit, which is in kilogram, and a reference document, which is EN 15804. And again, if I click on it, I will know exactly what this reference document is about. So clearly, with this tool, I'm able to completely describe or check a full data template, names, definitions according to standards, properties attached to reference documents, and clearly described with a physical quantity, with a dimension, and so on. And I can check all of this. So that's pretty cool. And for example, if I'm a manufacturer, I will use it later on also. I will be able, so in this case, that's a door, but we will use it as a door. Don't worry, that's not anymore about roofing. Here, I will be connected to a construction object in the dictionary. I will still have the country of use, etc. And if I'm going down, yeah, I will have this information, which is mass of hazardous waste disposed, which is luckily also in kilogram. That's the reason. The reason is that this tool is using the dictionary and the templates to be able to provide values. And that's where I want to come later on. So yeah, this is how we can manage and check a data template in a specific tool. So I'm a lucky man, I'm a happy man, I'm able to know that I'm able to describe a roof system. And then the question is, then what? What can I do with this kind of things? And I think that's really important to understand that we are not creating dictionaries and data templates just to create dictionaries and data templates and to check that, well, that's nice information inside. Maybe I can create products, but that's really more than that. And by really more than that, this is what I mean. So left-hand side, well, that's your grocery shopping list. I mean, Define will provide you templates. We provide you this IFC mapping. Within it, we know that a roof system can be connected to an IFC roof. That's cool. It provides you the groups of properties. It provides you the properties, the units, and the definition, and so on. Okay, but I'm an end user, and I want to know what I can do with this kind of stuff. So fine, I have information, but I want to use this information.
Já começou o webinar, pá.
So what will be happening is that this tool, this dictionary tool, is providing what we call a REST API, and my software vendor, whoever he is is able to connect to this API and to go to the grocery and get the content he needs to provide to the end user. Meaning my end user need to enrich model with some properties, and that's what we will do right now. Okay, I will ask the dictionary, please give me a template for a roof system, give me the information about IFC mapping, groups of properties, etc. And I will be able to use them in my day-to-day tool. So that's the first use case. Another one would be, for example, to check or to add some mappings in my BIM model, meaning I have an IFC wall, I want to be able to map it to the real definition of this wall. And so we will go back to more fun and to more live stuff. And I will take two examples. So the first one is a BIM platform. That's a CD. Luckily, it works really well. I think this number is the same for everyone. Okay, better. And I will open an IFC file. Which is this one. That's a nice building coming from my place in France. So nothing really new, but well, as a BIM designer now, I'm working with my own tool. I'm done with all those dictionary stuff and data template things. I don't care. I'm working on my BIM project. And in my tool, I will open a plugin. Here it is. And I will tell him, I want to work on EPD indicators and modules. And then, well, on this example, we will take it easy and select the full building. And immediately, the plugin is requesting the dictionary. Well, I have selected an IFC building in my model. What can you provide me as information coming from data templates? And here they are. So I can, that's about, again, EPD indicators. So for example, I don't know, I will take global warming potential, and back from my data template, I will know that as global warming potential, I can have those 1, 2, 3, 4 properties, which are coming from this EPD indicators, groups of properties from the data template. And here are the name of the properties. When I select one, you will have the full definition of it. And of course, I can add the corresponding values, which I will not do there. What is cool is if I'm clicking, well, I will select this one and this one, for example, and I apply those properties on the selection in my IFC file. I don't know if you have enough time to see that something is happening on this. And when it will be finished and it's done, if I'm scrolling now, this is all the IFC information attached to my IFC building, and here they are. I will find some EPD indicators properties. So I will find many because I've played with it before, just to be sure I don't make any mistake during the presentation. So I already attached some, but you will find the information back in the IFC files. That means that if I'm exporting this file from this web platform, here is the information. I have enriched my BIM model with semantics coming from a real data template with real standardized properties and with real information in it. And that's really, really, really important to understand. Now we can touch what the data templates are providing us, being able from a BIM model to add semantics, to add properties coming from standards into these BIM models and being able to export it as an IFC file. So that's the first one. The second one, that's just to show different tools. So this one is called BIM from Aka Software. So same idea, opening it. And hopefully this will happen. Yes. So here is the file. So same BIM model. I don't have many, to be honest. And then I will go to my dictionary, and I will choose what the domain I want to work on. So that will be, again, my psets with EPD indicators. And here I will find all, again, all the kind of EPD indicators that I can work with. And this time I will select a door. And why will I select a door? Is that because I will go to where is the waste categories. I will say I want to add waste categories to my BIM model. Is just checking and looking for the right properties to attach, and here they are. And one of those is waste disposed in kilogram. And that's exactly the reason why I've shown you that we can also work directly with products, because, well, here it's a bit manual, but for my internal door, I'm able to say, oh, lucky me, we've been using the same dictionary, same data template, and same properties, so I know that according to EN blah, 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 hazardous waste disposed in is 1.007 in my BIM model for, I've lost it. Where is it? Here it is. So I can put the value in my model. And that's exactly the same as earlier. By doing this, my BIM model is updated. So now I don't have only an IFC file with information on my inner door, but I have the real value coming from the real product, coming from the real manufacturer. And that's thanks to this all workflow from standardization, meaning I'm able to describe a standardized way information for a data template, having groups of properties, having properties. For those properties, I know exactly which standard they are related to, what is the unit, what is blah, blah, blah. On the other side, I have a manufacturer who has created a product catalog, fitting the right values for this description. And I'm able in this tool to attach the definition of the property to the right object in the model, attach the value and save it as an ISE file and exchange it in OpenBIM as I'm doing usually. So yeah, Pedro, that's what I wanted to show you today. So again, that was really to my famous then what. I'm coming from this dictionary and nice view of things and touching in real life what I can really do by using those templates. So let's say I've been using CDEs here, but let's imagine I'm a thermal engineer. I have a specific thermal calculation software. Same. I'm connected to the same database, to the same dictionaries, taking back, for example, a U value, and I can make my calculations and save it to my BIM model. So that's really, really the power of data template and standardized way of working, let's say. And yeah, I will give back the floor to you, Pedro. I hope I haven't been too long.
No, not at all, not at all. Thank you very much for your presentation and for explaining how this works in practice.